Hello friends and welcome. The past couple of weeks we've been looking at like hugging into the midline, hugging the muscle to the bone, outer hips hugging in, right? It's this movement in towards the center of our body. But what I've been seeing as we've been doing that is when some people go to do that hugging in, they hug in just from one side of the body, usually the back side of the body, right? And so then there's this compression on the back side, and there's not equanimity between the two sides is what I would want to say with that. So just first as an exploratory thing, stand up on your feet. You can be anywhere to do this, by the way, not a big deal. And as you let your feet, AKA your femur bones for my wise friends, right? We're turning our femur bones out, the feet follow. And as you do that, feel how there's this compression, this movement in on the back side of the body towards the midline, right? Now turn your femur bones back towards neutral rotation. Toes will probably point forward. And notice how there's an opening across. One more time, turn the thighs and the feet out, and as you do, feel that movement coming in, that compression in. Compression by itself isn't necessarily good or bad, right? And then move to neutral rotation. But if we're doing that all the time, then that can be a pattern that can prove to cause other issues in the spine, right? And the low back and the SI joints and the sciatic nerve. So from that neutral rotation, now think about hugging into the midline. So from the very outer hips, and you can even put your hands on them, pushing the hips in, hug in. From your outer waist, right? Not just pulling from the backside, hug into the midline. From your outer thighs, or if you want to play with hugging the muscle to the bone on all sides, if you've been with me these past couple of weeks, hug the muscle to the bone. And then one thing that really helps those of us with this pattern, which is most of the bodies I work with, probably I would say no joke about 70-75% of the bodies I work with, we do this, right? We compress from the backside and push and bulge everything out. Bulging is probably a strong word, but so think of your frontal hip points, your as-is bones, like drawstring pants, right? And if I had a string connected to each of those as-is bones, anterior, superior, iliac spine, and I took the drawstring and I tied it and I pulled it, it would pull the as-is bones in towards the midline. So again, I'm teaching that front side one because most of us do the action from the back side of the body where we tend to have more engagement of muscles. We know the muscles better. Maybe the muscles are stronger, etc. Right? We are always in a natural turnout. So I want you to concentrate when you hug into the midline to think about the side body, but also the frontal hip points like drawstring pants moving into the midline. And then feel how that moves everything, hopefully, really gently at like 20% in, like a bear hug, and up through the crown of the head. So I don't want to hold this rigidly. I don't want to hold this at 50, 70, 100% all the time. It would exhaust me. But when I think about it, I hug, right? Make sure I'm in neutral rotation. I hug in the best I can, of course. And then I think about my frontal hip points moving into the midline as well. One more thing and then we're done. It was just that today, right? I notice it a lot when I'm walking, and because we've been doing this hugging into the midline, it was funny, this morning I'm walking in my normal duck pattern because I wasn't being mindful, and all of a sudden as I turned forward and tried to hug into the midline, I noticed how much my back side of the body wanted to hug in, right? Even though I know this stuff. And so when I changed and had my knees move forward, my thighs in neutral rotation, and when I brought in my frontal hip points pulling in, suddenly there was a certain sense of equanimity in my body as I moved forward, so that I wasn't just in that pattern that I'm always in, that through the years I've discovered does give me a few issues in my body. So just sharing my personal experience. I've been in this game for a lot of years now, and I still am learning all of this and trying to translate this to my body and to listen to my body. And who knows, maybe 5 months down the road, I'll learn something brand new and I'm like, oh my God, you guys, I thought it was this. Add this in. But right now, I want you to pay attention to what side of the body do you hug in from. Notice that. And then if you tend to hug in from the backside, like the most of us, right, the majority of us, try to play with neutral rotation and then hug in and add that extra drawstring pants hugging in on the front side. And just see if that makes a difference. If it ends up being beneficial, keep doing it. If it's not, don't. Namaste.